So let's first put a little CSS in our document here, and then we'll start looking at variables. So let's just put a rule in here for the body. And all we're going to do is basically invert the colors. So let's go over here and we'll do background color, and we'll make it black. And then color, and we'll make that white. Save that, hop over here and refresh. Now there you go. Now I just had to do a hard refresh. There's some caching that I haven't quite figured out yet. So you might look through the documentation how to stop the caching from happening all the time. But if all else fails, just do a hard refresh. So now we've got something to work with now. Granted, it's pretty simple. But I could start showing you how to use the variables. All right, so come up here and we're going to make our first variable. And this is going to be for the background color. So and we'll just call it BG1, then colon, and then the value, which is going to be black. Then let's add another one. This one we'll call C for color 1. And of course we'll do white. And then, if we tested this one out, we wouldn't really see a difference. So let's add another variable too. C2. And we're just going to make a color up. I have no idea what that result's going to be. So now we actually need to use these variables. So come down here to the background color, replace that with BG1. And then for the color, C2. Save that. Hop over to our browser. Refresh. There you go. That's a great color. All right, so that's a very, very simple introduction to variables. May not see a whole lot of use to this at the moment. One thing we're doing here that's not making real good use of less is we're being very vague with our variable names. A simple project, I guess, if you had a couple of colors that you're using throughout the site, this may work because it's not too hard to remember what 1, 2, 3, 4 was. But what we could do is we could go ahead and just give this a more reasonable name. Actually, I think that's more of a pink. Now, some of these, like white, and then black, these are actually already, you can use these within CSS, but might as well stay consistent. So we could go ahead and flip this then. Save that over here, refresh. There you go, we inverted that. Okay, so this is a little more helpful. So now you remember that you just need to know the color that you're looking for. And this gives you an ability to kind of tweak. Like I said, you can use blue will work as a property value here in CSS. But that is a default blue. What if we had a certain kind of blue that we wanted to use? Or different, maybe different tone, different shade. Then we could set that up here. And that way we can use blue all over the document. So there's a blue there, so we can add that. And we'll see that it's a little different than the default blue. Not much different, just a little duller. So that allows us to kind of, we can take, especially if you're working on in a company with a team and you have designers and they send you some design documents, you can look through and you can see the color scheme. And so you can pluck out those colors and put them in here at the top of your document. And then now all you have to do is reference the orange that is in that layout, or the blue, or the whatever. So that makes things a little easier. You don't have to remember the color codes. So variables aren't just used for properties, which, by the way, we're using colors now, but you can use any property that you need to pull out. Like, say, you've got kind of a standard margin that kind of goes throughout the site. Maybe you've got some different margins here or there, but there's a standard theme throughout the whole layout. And say it's 20 pixels. So we can come down here. And reuse that down there. And so on. Like I said, it's not only used for property values, it can also be used for selectors. So we can use this for selectors. Now, if we look over here, I have a section called variables. And so we'll call this S1 for section 1. And we simply do variables. Now, if we want to use it, the syntax is put the pound sign or hash, because this is an ID, then at, and then in curly brackets, the name of the variable, and then other set of curly brackets for the actual rule. And we'll just change the font size to real big. Save that, go ahead and refresh. There you go. So you see it only affected this section, the text within this section, because we're referring to the variable ID, which is up here. Now, this isn't totally useful. I mean, it's useful, but the example, maybe not. Let's go ahead though and turn this down a little bit. Refresh. There you go. Now let's see a more useful example using a string. So same kind of deal here. Do at. We're just going to call this H. And I'm going to reference all the headings in the document, which I think I just have 1, 2, and 3. So we'll do that. And the way to designate a string here is the tilde here, and then quotes. And we're just going to put an H1, H2, H3. And then down here, same kind of deal, at, then the curly brackets, H. And we'll change the color to white. Refresh. There you go. So this is an easy way throughout our CSS document to modify all of the headings. And if we really wanted to go deeper and make sure we covered everything, put the other ones in there.